So Dr. Gbolahan Yusuf is a globally trained physician, medical director, and healthcare innovator dedicated to expanding access to quality healthcare across Africa. He is the CEO of I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, Ceylon Group of Hospitals and co-founder of the ACE initiative, through which he has impacted over 20,000 beneficiaries and facilitated 100 plus free surgeries annually. Wow. With advanced certifications from the University of Washington and the World Health Organization, he operates at the intersection of clinical excellence and global health systems. A strong advocate for maternal and child health, Dr. Yusuf leads community health outreaches, trains birth attendants, and empowers undeserved communities. Beyond medicine, he is a certified business coach and sought-after speaker, mentoring professionals and entrepreneurs on leadership and sustainable business growth across Africa. With a standing ovation, please jam your hands together as we have our keynote speaker, Dr. Gbolahan Yusuf. We can do better than that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. Please, we can have our seats. Good afternoon. I'm so glad to be here. I hope you share the same emotions. I would first like to appreciate everybody here. And my gratitude goes to the organizers of this conference, Empowered Edge, and Next Gen Business Summit. Please, let's put our hands together for them. I also have lovely people in the house. I have Auntie Cow in the house. Good to see you, ma. This Mrs. Adesuji. We are from the same clan. Barrister Caston Martins, thank you. Pastor, glad to have you here. Oh, Dr. Atiba just stepped out, Mr. Omowumi. Sir, do this, sir. Now, okay, I'm going to start this way. I need 3 volunteers to come forward. My session will be a mix of both. I want you to participate with the things I'm going to do, and I'm still going to try to convince you to believe the message I brought. So I need 3 volunteers. I already prayed to God that I won't struggle to get volunteers. So don't fall God's hand, not mine. Please, I need you up here. Okay, they're all ladies. Oh, no. So I prayed I would disqualify you. I need a guy. I prayed 2 prayers. One, I prayed that a lady should come up. And I prayed none of them should be taller than I am. So, thank you. Please appreciate him. Okay, now by disqualifying him, I have all ladies. All right, thank you very much. Now, your name, please. Mrs. Olufunke Adetunji, can I call you Funke? Thank you. Aramide Adiola, can I call you Aramide? Thank you. Eniola Oluwa Adesonya, can I call you Eniola? So Funke, Aramide, and Eniola. What do you do, ma? What do you do?
I'm an investment manager.
I know those things, but for the sake of everybody. Aramide?
I'm a business analyst.
Okay. Eniola?
Photography.
Thank you. Now, how many of you know architect Babatunde Samson? Wow. How many of you know Bovas? Daddy Bovas. His name is architect Babatunde Samson. Now you know. Now, permit me, please come closer. And this is just an analogy. Let's say for some reason, you happen to be his grandchildren, but you are not aware that is your grandfather. Analogy. So please permit me. And it so happens that he found out that one of his sons fathered 3 children that he didn't know about. And he has been thinking, how do I compensate these daughters of mine that have grown without any benefit of his wealth? And then decides that in the year 2026, by December 31st, I'm going to give each of them 1 billion naira. But I won't just go ahead by giving it to them. I want them to prove to me that they have his blood flowing in their veins. That's blood of excellence. And then goes to, now you don't own Ansbro. Now let's say you work for Ansbro. Goes to the, sorry, I think I'm behind. You can't see me behind this. So goes to your bosses and said, if Funke does so and so, let's say Funke brings in 20 clients this year to commit their funds with Ansbro, you are going to give her ₦1 billion by the end of the year. Are you following me? And goes to Aramide's, you're a business analyst, right? Goes to Aramide's boss and said that, okay, if Aramide would lead her team to satisfy maybe 10 businesses that are your clients in the year 2026, she gets ₦1 billion. And then Eniola, a photographer, right? All right. So and goes to Eniola's boss and says, if Eniola can onboard or bring in, maybe she performs like, let's say, 30 photo shoots for different top-level individuals, she'll get 1 billion. You're getting the analogy. Now, Funke's boss comes to Funke and say, this is what, who did not disclose that is your grandfather. But somebody has said, if you do this, you get 1 billion. Her boss tells her the same thing, but her boss, either because she is jealous, he or she is jealous or not a good person, decides not to tell Eniola. You can predict how they are going to go about their lives. Funke starts January knowing that by the end of December, in fact, even if she spends all her salary, decides not to save, but she's able to onboard 20 people, by December, she's going to be a billionaire. Am I right? And what will she do? At the end of January, she counts how many? February. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Eniola will do the same. Now, while Eniola is going about it, while Aramide is going about trying to satisfy the businesses, you might even have some businesses that will insult you. Some of them will even fix time at ungodly hour. And those will be pain points for you. Am I right? But will you not take those meetings? Even if your brother says, where are you going at this time? I say, don't worry, I know what I'm doing. Now, but for Eniola might have the same pain points as Aramide has, because her customers might even cancel on her. She might have booked them for a Saturday and decline other customers and get there and they don't show up. For her, she will call those things struggles. Right? But for Eniola and for Funke, they will consider it as just stumbling blocks on their journey to achieving 1 billion. Their perception of those pain points will be different from us. Do you agree with me? You agree with me? And then, even during the year, if there are issues, maybe a time comes, lights finished in your house, you do not have money to buy lights. You realize that I don't have money. But you only say, I don't have money, because you know for sure money is coming. So the way she will sleep that night without light is different from the way Eniola is going to sleep. Because Eniola does not know that money is. Do you get that analogy? Please clap for them as they go to their seats. I'll still call you back, the three of you, one more time. If you understand that, then my job is done. But the thing is, I will not just come and spend 5 minutes and go away. A few people will not be happy with that. So allow me to use the rest of my time to try to convince you about what the short play we just acted. Is that okay by everybody? All right. So let's start. I'm talking about reclaiming your identity. I want to talk about how you move from survival mode to purpose and prosperous living. Antika already told you something, and Dr. Alfred also said something about living a prosperous life. Living the soft life, right? Prosperous living is soft life. Soft life means nothing worries you, right? Soft life means you have freedom. Freedom of time and freedom of choice. How many of us want to live that kind of life? So that's what we're going to be talking about now. Now, a good number of people actually are caught in what we call the survival trap. They discover that all they are doing does not translate to a change in the kind of life they want to live. They put all the effort, but it seems like there's a cap to what they can, the income they can get. How many of you understand what I'm trying to say? It looks like someone will sometimes call it the treadmill effect. You're on the treadmill. When you're on the treadmill, no matter how fast, no matter the high you set the speed, you're going nowhere. You're still stationary. At best, you only burn more calories, but you are still there. Another meaning of what I'm trying to say is that sometimes you feel that, okay, if I buy this, it has changed my status. If I'm able to get this, if I'm able to get that, you discover that you buy those things for a short period. You experience a high. You experience an emotion of, okay, I have arrived. But what happens is that after a short while, that experience goes away. For example, you want to buy, oh, thank you, sir. Please, let's appreciate him as he leaves. So you want to buy a bag. There's a Chanel bag you want to buy. When you bought the bag, you really love the bag. In fact, the party you took the bag to, everybody was looking at the bag and appreciating it and saying, you have a lovely bag. How will you feel when they tell you that? You feel very good, right? I'm sure after you've carried that bag to 3 or 4 functions, especially for ladies, you actually don't wear your things to too many functions, right? Once you wear it to 1 or 2, you don't want to wear it again. You probably wait for 6 months before you wear it. Before they say, is that the only... You get what I'm trying to say? So that means that buying things do not fulfill that sense of gratification, that sense of importance, that sense that your position in life is actually improving. And most times, we discover that it's like we're caught in a survival trap. Imagine an athlete swimming against the current. You know, if you look at the river, the oceans, there's a particular current. There's a direction in which the water flows, the waves goes. You understand what I'm trying to say? If you try to swim against it, you will need to apply more effort, burn more energy to move from point A to point B. Do you agree with me? But if you are flowing in the direction of the current, what happens? In fact, by the time you do one stroke, you move further than the other person. So it means that the smart way to move from where you are to where you intend to be is to actually align with the current of life. There's a current of life. There's a mandate that even in the holy books, even in the Bible, that talks about the fact that you should be fruitful. You should what? Have dominion. That's a mandate. For the God in you has created you for a purpose. And he has caused he has orchestrated everything around you to cause you to move in the direction of your purpose. That means there's a direction of the waves of life for you. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like the direction of waves in an ocean or river. And as soon as you're able to identify your place in it and align, what you then experience is not what we call a burnout. But what you experience is what a lot of people call favor, we call an advantage, we call grace. And you discover that for whatever you try to do, you get to achieve it. Auntie Carl has talked a bit about this. Dr. Alfred has also touched on this. But before I move on to how do we get out of this survival trap, I also need you to know, in trying to convince you to follow what I'm going to say today, that there's a cost. Like I said, pain point. There's a struggle, even if you remain in that kind of trap. You are the kind of person that wanders here and there. You wake up every day, and it seems like your life has already been determined for you. It has already been pre-planned for you. You wake up, and all you do is just to react and respond to everything going on. There are 3 costs. I call them the hidden costs. The first is the financial cost. And I mentioned that earlier, which means that you discover that no matter what you do, however the effort, there's a cap to your income. Everybody wants to earn more than what they earn currently, right? Or is there anybody here that doesn't want to earn more than? The goal is to get to a point, and that's the truth. You will get to that point where more money would not elicit any form of satisfaction. You know that, right? You will get there. We all get there. We're all on the march together, right? Are you with me? That's why when you see those people, what they then do is to add something else to money. Thank you very much. And that's when they start to do a lot of charity. That's when they start to build their legacy. So the satisfaction now comes from the lives they touch, not the money that comes in. But those on the other side of this divide, no matter what they do, there's a cap. Somebody else has predetermined what they earn. That's the first cost, financial cost. The second one is emotional cost. And that talks about burnout. Because if you continue to work, and we say work hard, that's what we were taught previously. Now we know it's not about working hard. We know it's about working smart. And that's what we're talking about today. Now, if you continue to work hard and the result is the same, or sometimes even less, what happens to you? You start to experience burnout. And gradually it starts to affect even the energy with which you try to achieve whatever you want to. And the last is existential cost. And that's the loss of passion. And that's what I'm saying. That you begin to lose passion, the drive, and all of that goes away. And like I put a footnote there, remaining in survival mode is more expensive than the risk of reinvention. The whole point of talking about this is that either you find the way or you remain clueless. You are paying a price. So I'm going to talk to you about the price you need to pay to reinvent yourself. But know this, that if you decide not to reinvent yourself, you are still paying a price. And the prices are the things I already talked about. So let's look at how do we now start to reinvent ourselves. How do we begin to find our way? And that's I talk about understanding your identity. Because the truth is that knowing your identity, know the reason why you're here and where to align actually precedes destiny. The simplest way to help you gain clarity is that what is that thing that you know from day one? You have that feeling you are called to solve. What is that part of humanity you are meant to contribute? What are those things that you don't mind paying the price of achieving them? For example, a doctor, a surgeon, you find out, and that sometimes some people play on that even in Nigeria, the fact that their passion is in the theater room. They might complain today that right now they say, I'm tired, I think I need to rest. And then they say, doctor, there's emergency. And you see the doctor get up and he's in theater and he's saving life. That same doctor, he says he's tired. And the son says that, Daddy, I need you to help me with my homework. That doctor, the same doctor within the same instance will struggle to help that child with homework. You know, if a mother loves their child. So it's not that because they don't love. Because one is in the line of their passion. One is in the line of their destiny. They've discovered early in life that helping people, you understand, making other people's lives better is something that comes easy to them. It might just be that they found themselves in medical school and then they became a doctor. Their identity is to be a generous giver, to be a helper. Their identity is not to be a doctor. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. Because sometimes when we talk about identity, you are looking at profession. There's an emotion, there's an instruction. There's a way of life that underpins these professions. These professions are just expressions of an identity. I hope I have not lost you. Thank you very much. Now, understanding the identity is the first step. When a child, okay, let me just leave them. I wanted to call them, but let me just leave them. Now, we have 3 people. When a child is born, in the first few seconds of that child is as blank can be. That child is a blank canvas. But you know, in a few seconds, it's no longer blank because that child realizes that all the enjoyment I've been enjoying in my mother's womb is no longer there. And I think that's why the first instinct is to cry. There's a bit of science behind that. And the science is simple. The lungs are filled with water while they're in the mother's womb. The oxygen they need, they get it from the mother's blood. The food comes from the mother's blood. But for the first time, the lungs need to work for them to survive. And that cry is a way of forcing out the water in the lungs. But as soon as that child cries, that child starts to understand life in a particular way. Do you understand? Now, if that child is born in a loving and caring home, that child understands life in a particular way. If that child is born to a teenager who was sent out of home because she got pregnant, and teenager was also, the father of the child is also another teenager, and they are both struggling, and then there's neglect neglect in the home, the child's needs are not readily attended to, that child also starts to understand life in a particular way. If they start to grow, and they grow in different environments, and that experiment has been done over and over again. If you have a set of identical twins, that one is born and at birth, they are separated to two different families. One lives in a family where there's care, where there's love. The other one, there's neglect. Both of them, though they have the same gene, will turn out to be different individuals. And the only difference is the environment they were born in. What happens to them is that as they grow and they experience life in a different way, it shapes the identity of themselves. If I ask you which of them is likely to succeed, the one born in the loving home or the one where there's neglect, which one? The loving home, right? Because that child starts to understand that, see, where my needs are met. And that understanding wires the child's identity to know that I am loved. If they both go to a conference like this and I say, tell yourself I am loved, one of them will understand it. One of them will feel it already. Like Auntie Carl talked about feeling in secrets. The other one would say, I don't understand what you're talking about. But the beauty of neuroscience, and that's what we're talking about today, is the fact that even though you grew up a particular way and you experience life in a particular way, making you understand yourself in a particular way, neuroscience has taught us that the fact that brain can rewire itself means that you can reinvent yourself. You can recreate your experience. And the beauty of it is that while we've also found that the brain does not understand reality from imagination. So if the reality is that tells you of neglect, tells you of limitation, with imagination, you can trick the brain to believe that you currently live the life of abundance. You currently live the life where love and care is in abundance. Do you understand what I'm saying? I put up there, identity is not defined by your struggle, it is defined by your purpose. I call it, what is your chief aim decision? I call it the I am declaration. If I ask you to take a few seconds and think about your future self, what do you think about your future self? What are you going to think about? Are you going to think about the best version of yourself? Are you going to think about yourself still in the midst of all the current limitations that you have? I'll be trying to do justice to this topic by looking at 3 pillars. And don't worry, my slides I have very few slides. I have very few. In a short time, I'll be out of here. But the things I'm going to be telling you, I hope that you put them into practice because they'll really unlock and reinvent you. The first is the prosperity mindset. How many of you have read Think and Grow Rich? Think and Grow Rich, yes. Napoleon Hill. And I'm going to take 3 concepts from Napoleon Hill. First is thoughts shape your destiny. And this is not talking about so much of stand in front of the mirror and say affirmations back to yourself. Affirmations are words of positive words of things you like to have, things you like to become. You say them to yourself every day, every time, in order for you to actually understand and believe it, and it is believed that it becomes your reality. But this is it's a science. For as many people that drive now, when you started learning to drive, it was a struggle, right? For many people that drive, for those that play the piano, you play the keyboard, anything you have learned in the past, at the beginning, it was a struggle. You start, and when you get to a point, you forget the next thing to do. And then whoever is teaching you will have to remind you of what to do. Are you with me? You understand that? Now, if you continue to learn and you don't give up, a time will come. You'll be able to actually perform that skill without any supervision. Correct? Now, if you continue in that practice and you continue to apply that skill, you get to a stage where we call mastery. Now, what happens to you is that when you start to learn to play the keyboard, when you start learning to drive, before the time you started learning, there was no connection in your brain that had memory of how to drive. The light bulbs are on because we have electrical wires connected to them, and there's a switch. If we bought only the bulbs and we didn't connect by wires, if you flick the switch on, will it come on? Why? Because there was no connection, no pathway between the bulbs and the switch. Are you with me? Now, as soon as you call an electrician and they run the electrical wires connecting the switch to the bulbs and then to the main power supply, once you put on the switch, what happens? The light comes on. And that's what happens. Once you start to learn to drive, connection starts to form in your brain on how to drive. As you continue to learn, more connections are formed and the connections are strengthened until the point that the connection locks in. Once it locks in, you can drive effortlessly. For those that drive, now sometimes you drive absent-minded. Am I right? Because now the connection is locked in. If I come to you and tell you that you cannot drive, what will be your response? In fact, if you're the type that don't like to talk, you just smile in your mind and go away. You won't say, oh, are you sure? Maybe I cannot drive. Will that happen? No. Now, what has moved you from the point of you have to be supervised to drive to the point where you can now drive is what? Repetition. And he said repetition is the secret to mastery. So the things I'm going to be talking about today is not something you just try 1, 2, 3 days and you walk away from it. If you met your music director to learn how to play the keyboard, or you meet someone to teach you how to drive, and after 2, 3 lessons you walk away and you say, in fact, this man cannot teach. Who is at fault? The man? Is it true that the man cannot teach you how to drive, or you could not stay with him long enough till you learned how to drive? So I'm taking my time to use these illustrations because I know that some of you have heard some of the things I'm talking about before. But somehow you feel that it doesn't work. I'm trying to speak to the reason why you probably have not gotten the results. Others are sharing testimonies of what they've got. So the first thing is thoughts shape destiny. Everything in life is created twice. First, it has to be created in your mind. Because for everything you have seen, it was an idea in somebody, right? Where was the idea? Was it in their eyes? Where was it? In their mind. That idea was a creation in their mind. And they stayed with it long enough. And they started to think about how do I bring this idea to physical manifestation. And soon, if you look at all the stories of the light bulb, the telephone, you will hear of different failed starts, different failures. But the reason why they did not stop at the point of their failure is because it was a burning desire to actually create the light bulb, to actually invent the telephone, and many other things. So everything you see here, even this microphone I'm using to amplify my voice, was first an idea in somebody's mind. So when we say all things are created twice, first in your mind, before it appears in your life, we're not talking about jargon. We're talking about time-tested principles that has ruled life for all time. Are you getting it? I'm sweating like this so I can enter into your brains and enter into your mind. Don't just pity that this man is just sweating like this. Next thing is auto-suggestion. And this follows the principle that the brain do not understand the difference between reality and imagination. How many of us, we've all had bad dreams. You've woken up from terrible dreams. You wake up sweating. Sometimes you wake up panting. Right? Sometimes you wake, so in fact, the person sleeping next to you will be the one to wake you because you have kicked the person like 5 times. Because in that state, even though it is a dream, the brain did not realize that this is just a dream. With time, we all grow to the point that even in your dream, your mind is strong enough to tell yourself that this is a dream, wake up. How many of you have experienced that before? This is a dream, wake up. And most times at the point where you even think that maybe the worst thing is about to happen. It's the same way. If I tell myself every day that I'm a money magnet, money loves me, money flows freely to me, I'm a magnet of ideas and opportunities, and I tell myself every day Every day. And I sit down and imagine myself as someone that money comes to freely. And I start to apply the feeling of someone who already has money. And I do that every day. The first time, brain will tell me that you are lying to yourself. What are you saying? But if I continue, just like the person learning to play the keyboard, just like the person learning to drive, neural pathways are forming. They are forming. They are forming. They are not as much as the counter thoughts, which says that your present reality, you don't even have 10K in your account. And you're telling yourself that you earn and receive 2 billion yearly. And you're saying it and saying it. A time will come. The neural pathway will be strong enough. It will lock. Once it locks, believe is easy. Do you get me? All you need to do is to stick with it long enough till it locks. Now, the reason why I say it needs to lock, because once it locks, you now become like Funke or Aramide, who now knows that 31st of December, 1 billion is coming. All I need to do is this. Because as soon as Funke got that information, maybe Funke was still thinking about how do I pay for my masters. These masters have been pushing for years. I don't even have money for it. In fact, my dad even want this or that. Hypothetical Funke, I'm not creating space. But as soon as she gets the knowledge, now that knowledge brings about belief. She had to get her own belief from the knowledge that her grandfather she did not know. Sorry, I gave you a new grandfather. Is a multi-billionaire who has decided to give you $1 billion. You don't have the luxury of that information, but you can create that feeling yourself. I like this third part, faith and fear. The beautiful thing about faith and fear are they are different sides of a divide, but they are both resultant effects of a belief in something. You have fear because you believe that things will not work out. You have faith because you believe that it's just a matter of time. Things will work out. So either you like it or not, you believe in something. But I'm trying to tell you that all you need to do is to believe in the right thing. To believe that you are able to achieve everything you have thought about. Because fear will cripple you. Faith emboldens you to continue to go further. You must mentally inhabit your future self. Where you plan to be. Where you have sat down to think that I intend to get to. You have to continually and constantly envision yourself there. You have to think about the people that are where I want to be. I want to be a multi-billionaire. I want to be one who actually donates to nations to solve world problems. You sit down and you think, if you think about yourself in the bracket of Aliko, okay. Energy from here that is draining the battery. But if you're getting what I'm saying, then I'm doing my job. Sorry, okay. Eyes on the timer. The second principle is the principle of intentional living. Now, talk about understanding your identity. When you talk about the fact that you are focusing and investing on programming your self-image. Because we understand that your ability to earn will respond to your self-image, not even the way you walk. Because, and I'm sure that's been explained before now, that money is something you attract. You know, it's not something you chase after. Do we understand what that means? So I don't need to go there. Now, just like every year, we set our New Year resolution, set our New Year goals, and we plan to do better. And we're at the beginning of the year. We all did that last year. I believe we did that last year. And if you did that last year, it's one step in the right direction. Now, what we have found out over the years in working with people is that you don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your system. Your system is maintained by your habits. I've said that once you begin to think in a particular way and you believe, the evidence of belief, the evidence of faith is action. Because if you believe you have 1 billion, then the next thing that will show us you really believe is the way you act, are the things that you do. Now, principles of intentional living is simply talking about how do you now live your life to ensure that your new identity locks in and your habits support where you are headed. We believe so much in the fact that for every day, you need to win your day. And each day successively, 7 days of winning your days will become a successful week. 4 weeks of successful living will be a successful month. 12 months of successful living will be a successful year. 10 years of successful living will be a successful decade. So the unit of success is actually what do you do within your day. It is said many times that you hope to be the best in your field. What promises that happening is what you do within your day. If you sit down and look at what you do in your day, and you find out what are the actions that I carry out that supports my drive to succeed in what I'm planning to do. If you don't have enough things within your day that supports that, then you are just practicing wishful thinking. We have 24 hours every day, right? And it's believed that what you do within the first 1 to 2 hours of waking up determines what happens for the rest of your day. For as many people that have read the book Miracle Morning, Hal Elrod talks about the practicing of a morning practice, an habitual morning practice of what we call savers, where S means silence, A means affirmation, B, visualization, exercise, reading, and scribbling. If every morning when you wake up, let's say 4 a.m., 5 a.m., for as many of us have woken up at those times, one of the things that characterizes those times is silence. In fact, most of the world, of people within your time zone, they are still asleep. In fact, we can say that the world has not started for that day. That means that you get a 1 or 2 hours head start ahead of every other person. It's a period where you can program how the rest of your day would be before the rest of the world wakes up. Because if you wake up after the world has woken up, you find out that you'll be chasing the entire day. Because if you wake up late, if you have to go to work and you wake up late, what happens? You're rushing to the bathroom, you're having your bath, brushing your teeth, dressing up, getting into your car or to the bus stop to get into the bus and pray you don't get to work late. You get to work, if God helps you, you get there right on time, but you're not even settled because all the activities for the day are started. And that's how your day goes till then. But if you set aside 1 hour, 2 hours before your day starts to sit in silence and allow yourself to declutter all the issues of yesterday, all the worries, whatever it is, allow them to drift away from your mind. And then you start to, with affirmations, you now start to think of the things you believe yourself for yourself. Affirmations are statements of your desire, statement of things of purpose, and you start to write them down. Writing them down helps you to solidify them more. Because your goals, your affirmations that you are not writing down, is still wishful thinking. When you write them, it's like contracts. It's like a document. And it's believed that while you are writing, it engages your sight, engages your mind or your speech, your inner voice. Also engages your touch. Because with your hand, you will touch the biro with which you write. Now, if you do that in the morning, within the silence of the morning, and after you've done that, you take time to now visualize what you've written down. You wrote down that you're a billionaire. You wrote down that you're a generous billionaire. You've written down that you're the top person in your industry. You now take time to think about you like that. You are now we call it living in the end. That means you are here, but you are thinking about how the end will look like, how it will look at when you finally achieve that which you have set apart. You take your time to think about that. You think about it in the morning. You do it that today. You do that tomorrow. You do that the next day. After that, you talk about exercise. It gets your energy to flow. Gets some feel-good hormones to start to flow. Allow serotonin to flow. Then after you do that, you now sit down. You want to read something. It might be 10 pages. Some of these things I'm saying, you might just start. If you just get fractionally better than where you are now, it's a start. Sometimes we don't do these things because we want to jump from point 0 to 100. Your body has been wired not to do those things before. You want to start rewiring it. Start from 0, go to 5, go to 10. Master 10, then move to 20. When you get to 30 or 40, you would have generated enough belief to move from 40 to 100. But to try to move from 0 to 100 is the reason why sometimes we struggle to get this. You say this, I die. We're not saying name it. You get what I'm saying? Because some people just name it and that's it. You have to build a system around it. So you learn something in line with that, and then you scribble, you journal. Part of journaling is also to write the things of the day before, things that happened the day before that you are even grateful for. Part of journaling is also taking an audit of your previous day and say, okay, I didn't do right here, I didn't do right there. Oh, I did this well. I think today I will do better. That is simple, right? I think if you take an audit of your day, every day, are you going to do better the next day? The problem sometimes is that we are afraid to look ourselves in the mirror. Sometimes we are afraid of what we will see when we look into our soul and see how we have been doing. So because of that, we neglect and we avoid it. So you don't attract what you want, you attract who you are. Because the entire idea, the reason why architects, Samson, have given them those things to achieve is because if it's his money, he can give it to them. But he's more interested in who they become than just giving it to them. Because by giving them those tasks, he knows that a lot of things go into acquiring those customers and satisfying them. So they become proficient in their industry. They become a different person. I'm telling you, Funke Aramide at the end of the year will be so different from who they were in January. They think they are working towards just collect 1 billion. But what will happen to them is there will be a transformation in who they are by the time they get to December to collect 1 billion. Because if their capacity cannot manage 1 billion, by 2027, they are back to 10,000. I'll still explain that as we go further. Now, looking at the psychology of money, I explained about 2 identical twins born in different homes. One born in abundance, we treat money differently from the other born into scarcity. Am I right? Am I right? Do you agree with me? One born in the home where, oh, we need this thing in school. Okay, I'll get it for you. Take it tomorrow. So we need this thing at school. What? Is it every time they must buy something in your school? There's no money to pay. See, in fact, I don't know what to do. Go get out of my room. They will grow up relating with money differently. And the good thing, like I said, is that we can actually rewire whatever wiring has gone wrong. We are becoming electricians today. Money is an energy. It flows in direction of value and order. It is said that money will flow to those who are good stewards of money. If you are the type to relate well with money, you will have more money. I have a table here that talks about the scarcity mindset and the abundant mindset, just to try to you get? And in that year 3, this is what I learned that helped me to scale. You know, there are two different stories. So that's why you have to move close to them. That's why I'm not surprised that Dr. Alfred will say, if you move with billionaires, 5 billionaires, you will be the 6th billionaire, because you'll be privileged to their secrets. But you can't understand the secrets of something you already despise. So someone with scarcity mindset, because the scarcity mindset already makes him feel that he can never have what they have. The only reaction he has is to despise it. But someone who understands that my journey to probably even get better than what this man has, want to learn what knowledge, what wisdom can I gain from this person in order to continue to move or accelerate my movement in that direction. Someone with a scarcity mindset will always focus on the cost. The other one is focus on value and investment. Like I told you the story of two friends. One would, rather than upskill, take courses. It's like, this thing is too expensive. The other one understands that if I get this skill, I can 10x what I get. Do you understand? So, the way you relate with your money would actually help you actually get ahead. And I want to lean a bit into how you treat money a little bit before I move on. It's not in my slides, but I think this is for somebody. Now, when you get paid, how you distribute your money also tells us if you are destined for the top. I don't know how many of you have read the book, Love Yourself, Pay Yourself First by Dr. Gbolahan Yusuf. It's in the Bible. How many of you know Dr. Gbolahan Yusuf? Okay, good. Now, he said in that book that when you get paid, the first thing you should do is to set aside the percentage of your income that you want to save. You don't save after you have fulfilled all the bills that you need to pay. You save first. Then you now take care of the bills with what you have left. What you save is the money that is yours. What you pay to the pepper seller is the pepper seller's money. What you pay for Uber is the Uber driver's money. What you pay for groceries and other things that you need belongs to the people you have paid those monies to. The money that is yours is the money that you keep. And the money that you keep is you telling yourself, training your mind that I'm investing in the future that I'm envisioning. It's actually your investment in yourself. At our seminar, we looked at a chart and looked at the power of compounding interest. How many of you know compounding interest? A lot of us don't like maths. When we did simple interest in secondary school, that one was easy. As soon as they brought compound interest, everything scattered. Compound interest is simple. You put money aside. It generates interest. You don't withdraw the interest. You allow the interest. The interest now adds to your principal. That's the money you kept aside. It now becomes what they use to calculate the next interest. You leave it there. You compound it. Do you get? That one is now used to calculate the next interest. They continue like that. And then we looked at the chart. If a man starts to save 100,000 every month at an average interest of 17% for 30 years, in 30 years, that money would have become 1.4 billion. 100,000 every month in 1 year is how much? 1.2 million. 1.2 million in 30 years is 36 million. That means that of the 1.4 billion, only 36 million is what was saved. The remaining over 1.3 billion was the interest. Can your mind capture that? If you make it 50,000, it also follows the same principle. If you make it 50,000, I think in 30 years, it comes to over $500 million. And of that $500 million, only 18 million is your contribution. Somebody say, 30 years is too long. I mean, how old am I? I'm in my 20s. Is it when I become 50 that I will have $500 million? There are people in their 50s now that wish 30 years ago they started saving 50,000. So that now, if what they have is $500 million, that's money. Do you get what I'm trying to say? I try to lean a bit into that. So another person will say, oh, saving. What I have is not even enough. They are telling me to save. I'm not saying save half of it. Even if it's 5%. What you are trying to do is to train yourself. To tell yourself, I'm the kind of person that can commit to something. I can save. I can invest in my future. If you continue to save 5%, like I said, money will go to those who are good stewards. It shows they are good stewards of money. Opportunities to be able to earn more will come, and then your ability to save more than 5% will also arise. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Now, just another thing to convince you is that the money is not enough. You say I should save. It's already not enough. So save is still not enough. But the difference is, one, you are spending all. The other one, you are investing towards your future. Did somebody get something there? I'm sure it was the Spirit that said I should tell you. So let's quickly go to pillar 3. If you want to clap, you can clap. All right, so pillar 3 is talking about your career. What's the vehicle? Because the truth is, as much as I'm caught of time, I'll start to round off here. As much as we talked about your identity, you are a new person. You are working towards this. You have created a system such that you win every day. There is a vehicle with which the money will come. Right? I don't think it has gotten to the point that you sit in your house and you just open something, you just say, go and open your cupboard. And you open it and there's money. Even you will run. Many years ago when I was a child, there was this play where people were doing money ritual. And it was this one that in the night, the girl will now come and say, Mo fair, mo me. I don't know how many of you watch that one. And when you give water, money will just fill up the calabash. I'm sure none of us want that kind of money. So there's a vehicle that actually gets us into prosperity. There's a chart I wrote there. I talk about your renewed identity gives you purpose. And then that purpose actually delivers you the kind of work you need to do. That's why I say purpose-driven work. And that leads to high-value opportunities. Because Funke now, our work now is purposed. They say we need someone that will be helping us to count people that come late. That's not her purpose. She will not be there. If they are talking about other things in the office, because she's a nice person, she probably would help out. But when it comes to onboarding clients, she's locked on because she's focused on that. So that's purpose-driven work. And because she's focused on that, the value of our work will be high. High-value opportunities will start to come. And a result of that are the opportunities. A result of the opportunities, then come the prosperity. So what we're talking about, like I talked about the guys swimming against the current, and that's swimming along or in alignment with the current. The first thing I talked about here is alignment. Prosperity flows from your career when your careers align with your calling. Friction will disappear. Pain points will no longer be seen as pain points. They'll just be mere stumbling blocks that you have to overcome. And that will lead to attracting better networks. You start to find mentors that are in line in what you want. The power of a focused mind is that your brain will only allow stimulus that in line with your purpose. A very simple example is, sorry sir, my brother in the West Coast, what's your name? Matthew. Matthew, how many people did you see on your way to this place today that wore brown shoes? Yeah, so if we're going to have this program next week, and I tell you for every person that wears brown shoe, I'll give you $1,000. I'm sure the one that has just brown patch, you say, can that one be $500? Am I right? What I've given you is what? Purpose. And because I've attached that purpose to a monetary reward, your focus, you are laser focused, such that the one that is just a small patch, you will see it. That's the power of reinventing yourself and understanding your identity and moving in line with that. Because there are conversations that are happening around you every day. The amount of stimulus that we are exposed to every day are in thousands. You are only aware of a few. You're only aware of the ones which, through by your experience, you actually allow. But once your focus is along your work and your destiny, when the conversation starts to happen, you will identify them and you will flow in line with them. And the truth is this: work is not just for paying bills. It's actually your contribution to the world. When you start to look at work like that, what am I adding to the body? What am I adding to the people? It actually helps the kind of work, the quality of work you produce. Now, looking at practical steps for transition. Whenever I talk, I don't just talk. I'll try to look at what are the things you can start to do now. I've mentioned some of them while I was talking, but I'll just say a few here again. First, audit. I would say you do daily and weekly audits. You can track exactly, when you talk about money, where did your time and money go for the last 7 days? You write it down to make it easy so you don't forget. Each day, where did my money go? What did I use my time for? You write it down. Because you cannot improve on, you cannot change what you don't measure. If you don't know where it goes, you don't know where you need to change it to. You look at, implement, I said the ritual, your practice. And I talked about earlier, you implement certain routines daily that will help you achieve your desired goal, that will help you achieve a life of prosperity. And we've talked about savers. If savers is what you start with, that is good enough. I talked about journaling, visualization. I've talked about even when you audit, you write them down. That's a ritual. You also look at the kind of environment. The parable of the seeds talk about what was the thing that was peculiar about the seed. The seed was constant. The seed that grew to 30, 60, and 100-fold was a virtue of the kind of soil it was planted. Your environment is important. You are a sum total of the 5 people you relate with. And I'll talk about shaking your friendship tree. Because the truth is, if you are going somewhere, and especially in the early stages of learning these things, you are very vulnerable. It's important you are around people who are also trying to do the same thing and ahead of you. Because they are the promise of where you are going to. Because they can tell you daily what you are trying to do now that looks like nothing. Because when you start, what you are doing is invincible. And sometimes because it's invincible, it's easy for you to be discouraged. But you need people who had also struggled at that stage. And they've broken through to tell you that don't worry, just keep at it. This thing that doesn't look like anything, just keep at it. What will happen at the end of the day is you'll be here. Or you will even go further. You don't want to be around people who are like thorns that are trying to poke your momentum. They're trying to poke your resolve to actually get better. So it's important to do a friendship audit. Who are the top 5 people that have access to me, that I share my ideas with? Are they the kind of people that are going in that direction, or are they the kind of people that are already ahead of me in that direction, or they're the kind of people who don't even believe in what I'm trying to do? We're in a generation where we try to name a lot of things. We give titles to a lot of things. And in fact, this generation has a title for everything. And what I found out about that title, sometimes those titles demeans or reduce the importance or the value of what you are trying to do. And because once they say it, it discourages everybody. That's why, like Antika also said, it's not everybody you even share your goals with. It's not everybody. Once you start to share it, as you are sharing it, your momentum, your drive is just going with them. And when you share it to some people, in fact, their facial expression just tells you that maybe I'm not even doing the right thing. And then what's your financial habits? I talked about a lot about savings and all of that. Those are practical steps. So what's the roadmap? I thought of this because if you are moving in the wrong direction, before you start moving in the right direction, you first stop. Do you understand? Sometimes doing nothing is not failure. It might be a sign of progress. Because you are going in the wrong direction, and then you've decided, this is the wrong direction. I need to turn. You can't just turn like that. You would actually stop. And once you stop, then you turn. And then you move in. So the first thing is this. You have to organize the chaos. By doing the audit, you see where you have been getting it wrong. And start saying, this is one bad habit I want to stop. This is another bad habit I want to stop. My financial leaks, you can't say no to anybody. You say yes to everybody. You think you are the hero in the life of everybody's story. So once they come, even the little you are still gathering, say, but I have more than this person. This small part can solve this person's problem. You give. Another person comes, you give. You are still one leg. You are not standing. You are trying to help. What happens? You will fall. And once you fall, what happens? They move on to the next person. You establish your morning practice, your habitual morning practice, your morning ritual. The first hour or the first 2 hours of the day, the things you do every morning. Then phase 2, you start to optimize. You have stopped. You have started organizing, putting the system in place. The next thing is now you want to build those habits. Discipline is what is important here. You succeeded one day. You succeeded the second day. You want to ensure that you are succeeding every successive day to successive months and all that. You want to optimize your health, your energy. You ensure that what you exude is positive energy. And then your spending also goes with your values. You have a structure around it. You save. We encourage you give to charity. When I say when they come, you give. You don't give. I don't mean don't give at all. But give at your own level. The way you have a percentage you save, have a percentage you give. It's something that liberates even people who like to give. Since you have a percentage you save, you give. And once you exhaust the quota for the month, you can say no with your full chest and not feel bad about it because you are giving. Well, have a percentage you save. Have a percentage you give. As you are blessed and as you get better, you increase the percentage. Because we also encourage that you actually give to charity. Because as you continue to get more money, you continue to get more money and you are not giving, I feel that the money will be too much and it starts to cause sickness. So we encourage you actually give. In fact, we encourage from where we come from that you have a beneficiary list. People that you actually give money regularly within your means. Like I said, a percentage. And then accelerating means that, of course, once you start to do this, new opportunities start to open up to you. You invest in new skills. You look at a few careers, you study them. I said risks because some pathways might actually be risky, but we say you learn first. And for every new venture, you must learn about it before you venture into it. By learning about it, you gain experience before going into it. And then you can expand your wealth, like I said, through generosity. So, there are risks and challenges. I'm rounding up here. I think I have some more. Okay. I have the amount of time I have left is impossible to finish, but I will try my best. Now, I've talked about this earlier. Once you start affirming that you're a billionaire, there's an internal resistance. Because we believe in homeostasis. We want to maintain equilibrium. So you that you are used to waking up and jumping to scrolling on your phone, you want to keep your phone away and wake up to carry out savers. Your body, your system, your mind is the first thing that is going to resist. Now, I'm saying identify these things, anticipate them, because they are not signs for you to stop, but it's for you to identify that these signs are there, but you overcome them. There's always the fear factor. Sometimes it's even imposter syndrome. You are beginning to get better. You are in very beautiful rooms, and your mind starts to tell you that, are you sure you deserve to be here? That's imposter syndrome. That's fear. And that can also actually cripple you and stop your growth. It's a silent killer. And then you have external pushback from friends, from family, and the likes. You recognize this resistance as a sign of growth, not a stop sign. When you start to get there, it's because you are getting better. But it's not for you to stop. Now, defining prosperous living, we've talked about this. We've talked about financial freedom. You have money, security, assets, and the like. Emotional peace, that's freedom from worry, freedom from anxiety. That is the goal. That's where we are going to. Physical vitality, you are full of energy, you are healthy. Because you need health to enjoy your wealth. At any point you have a lot of wealth and all the money is used to take care of your health. So it's important as you get better in terms of chasing the bag, you also get better in terms of your health. And then deep purpose. We should live a life of legacy. What are we contributing to? What are we contributing to the body, to the community? I'm actually done here. There's a poem this poem is in Think and Grow Rich, and it's from Jesse Rittenhouse. And I'll just read this poem to you as a summary of what I've just talked about today. It says, I bargained with life for a penny, and life would pay no more. However, I begged at evening when I counted my scanty store. For life is a just employer. He gives you what you ask. But once you have set the wages, why? You must bear the task. I worked for a menial's hire, only to learn, dismayed, that any wage I had asked of life would have paid it. Do you understand the poem? Worked life and said, life, I want only 5 kobo. And then life says, you want 5 kobo? Okay, go and do the job. And at the end of the day, when life paid me 5 kobo, and I said, this is too little. But now I realize that if I'd asked life for 1 billion, life would have paid it. That's my message to you. In conclusion, identity is your seed, habits are the soil in which they grow. Prosperity is the harvest we seek. The final charge is step out of survival, get into purpose, step into prosperity. What do we start to do now? Don't close this deck, don't leave this conference without first agreeing that tomorrow you will start your morning ritual. 1 hour changes the day, and the day changes your life. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Please, let's keep clapping till he gets to his seat. That was beyond profound. You know, dispensing so much value and still being able to carry everybody along. Thank you so much, sir. We're super grateful. Please, you can have your seats. Thank you. Are you upgraded by now? Are you sure? Yeah, that particular one was a lot. Thank you so much. And so before I entertain questions and answers, please, I would like Mrs. Afolabi to prepare for the award presentation and Pastor Akinbiyi Mark to prepare for the award presentation. So if you have any questions in the house, please signify by raising your hand. A question? Please come forward, please. Thank you. All right. Any other person with a question?
Hello. All right, sir. Thanks so much, sir, for the knowledge, sir. Okay, sir. First of all, I have 3 questions. Though. The first will determine. So, we're talking about imagination. You have to imagine, take your journey on. Now, can we term that to like daydreaming about what you want to see? So, my second question is: are there dangers to daydreaming? And then, third one is: what about when you get to a point whereby you escape into daydreaming to just to keep away from the frustrations and the pressure of the present situation or reality you find yourself? So at that point in time, what do you think the person can do?
Let's clap for him. So, yes, if you daydream, it's easy for you to visualize. But what I'm talking about is a structured thing. First is you understand your identity. You understand what you are planning to do. You have your affirmations. So like I said, visualize your life in the end. You are visualizing your life. If you want to be a billionaire, you are visualizing your life as a billionaire. Daydreaming in itself is just wandering. That's what's wandering. I'm not saying wander in that realm. It is structured. It is guided. And once you do that, and yes, a few people do that to escape frustration. Sometimes when you're feeling discouraged, you can go back to visualization, not daydreaming, to actually go back to feel again that end, because you are beginning with the end in mind. Even God, everything is done. He did them with an end in mind. You are here with an end in mind. So it's more of a structured way of visualizing where you want to be. And we should also, and it's important not to just use it as an escape, because there's a reality. And that's why I was very practical. That even though we're saying think about that, there are things you will do every day to ensure that you get there. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. I hope he was able to answer the question, right? Visualization and not just mere daydreaming. So while I give him a few minutes to catch his breath, I'll just have one person in the house in a very short period share with us your take home today. So anybody? Oh, well, please let's clap for her. I like audacious people. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone, once again. Okay, first of all, I picked your environment plays a huge part in a person's identity. That one I picked that well. Wherever you were raised has a huge part it plays in your identity, in picturing yourself as who you are. If you're never in a home where you were loved, you would never ever imagine, oh, this could be me, this could how I could feel. If you never really understand wealth or see people actually eating, you're used to this hand to mouth thing. When you enter a space whereby people are usually chill and have a lot of money, it becomes so strange to you. You might at a point lose focus on why you are there in the first place. All right. I also picked one thing, audit, organize the chaos, because I noticed that sometimes I'm kind of person that once this is over, I'm very frustrated, I just go and sleep. But there is a place of reflection on, oh, what did I spend my time to do today? That's where I remember I started journaling. Sometimes I would just do, dear God, this and this and this happened today, this and this. For me, that's like a place of auditing and saying, okay, I did do this, I did do that, I did that. In the studio, there was one of my organs, he would tell me that after an event, there's this thing that in the night, it comes down, his mind like plays back what happens, like a full rewind. For me, it might be just picking up a pen and paper. For you, it may be just relaxing. Some people, it may be in the dream. But there is a place of actually organizing the chaos and know where you need to focus your energy to next time and where to like not really focus, because like he said, when you have a purpose for something, when you're purpose driven towards something, you will not just waste your time doing other things. You actually know where you're going, so you know where you put your energy to and where not to really put too much of energy to. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I mean, that was succinct. All right, so please can we have Mrs. Afolabi for the award presentation? Dr. Gbolahan Yusuf. Please, can we have you on stage, sir? Mrs. Afolabi. Okay, yes. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma.